All right, welcome. Welcome back to Empowered Esquire TV. Thanks for joining us. And today I have a surprise for you. We have an esteemed guest. We have
Yes,
business and career coach Kay from K Business Podcast.
that's me.
So, before we hop into Kwame Brown and StephenASmith, we are going to first watch a quick video from Coach K's channel so you can get a feel and an idea of who he is and what he's about before we dive in. So let's get to it.
What up, what up, what up, what up? How y'all doing? This is Kay, and I'm back again with another video. Like, subscribe, and also hit the notification. To all my new subscribers, welcome. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about working on your business idea. There's a lot of people that have excellent and wonderful ideas, but they're not working on it. They're not working on it. You know why? Because a lot of people are scared to fail. A lot of people are scared to hear what people are going to say about them. Let me tell you this. Who gives a shit? Okay? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Okay? Take your idea. Work on that idea. Put it out there in the market and see what comes. Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg had an idea. Or, well, somebody had an idea. They asked somebody else to help them with the idea. Maybe he took it, maybe he did not. But there's a lot of millionaires out here who had ideas and they worked on it, and now they're sitting on billions of dollars. Your idea can take you to the next level. Your business idea can have you stop going to that job you don't like. That business idea could be something that can set your family, that can make your family wealthy in the next few generations. Do not sit on an idea. Don't put it on the side. Take your idea and work on that idea every single day, nonstop. When I started my business in 2017, I haven't stopped since. And right now, I have pending contracts to train 2 companies or organizations. Okay? Nothing is going to stop me until I get to the promised land. Don't be scared to fail. All right? Don't worry about who's going to support you. Don't worry about who's going to like your post. Don't worry about who's going to share your post. Put your idea out there in the marketplace and see what comes back. You'd be surprised. You put that idea out there, a lot of people are going to wonder like, wow, this is such a great idea. Let me invest in this idea. Let me buy from this business. Don't be scared to put your idea out there for you to start making money. A lot of people spend 20 years at a job, never been promoted, never got a raise or bonus, and they're miserable. But if you have a great idea for a business idea that you have, put it out there, work on it. You might fail, absolutely. People are going to hate on you, yes. But that shouldn't stop you. Family members are going to discourage you and question, is this the right business for you? You should do this, you should do that. But you should continue on that business idea, work on that business idea every single day, including weekends, including the holidays, midnight, early morning. I took that step, and right now, I would say I'm grateful I took that step. I haven't asked no job for a raise or promotion. You know why? Because I don't need it. I got my own thing going on. Build your idea. Work on your business idea. Do it today. Do it today. If you need help to build your business, go to sba.gov and it will guide you step to step on how to build a business. Work on that idea today. If you don't work on that idea today, somebody else will, and that idea is gone? What if that person make millions from that idea? From your idea that you had? You never know. A lot of people have the same idea. It just takes one person to step forward, and that person should be you. Alright guys, that ends my video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and also smash that notification. And I'll catch you again on my next video. Peace. That was fun.
Right. So hello to everyone in the chat. If you missed the very, very beginning of this video, we just played one of many, many videos from Coach K's channel called K Business Podcast, so we could get a feel for who he is and his vibe. And as you can see, he's a go-getter. He's a business and career coach. And today we are getting into Kwame Brown v. StephenASmith. But of course, we're doing it empowered Esquire style, right? Which means we're
Absolutely.
not the muck and the mire and the, all of that stuff. That's not my style. What we're focusing on are the arguments being made. So Kwame Brown is very much about entrepreneurship, learning trades, having skills. StephenASmith is very much about employment and being a good employee, right? We'll dive a little bit more into that after our esteemed guest introduces himself. So Coach K, tell us about who you are and what you do.
Hey, how you guys doing? My name is Coach K. I have a YouTube channel, K Business Podcast. I talk about business, on how to get your business started from scratch, how to get a business idea. If you have a business idea, how to grow that business, how to build that business, how to work on that business. I work in human services, in the case management field. So I was able to use my career, my job, and turn it into a business of mine. So I'm able to show folks how to get started just from scratch, just to learn the basic stuff. So that's what my channel's about, and that's what I do for my own personal business.
All righty, awesome. So I think you're the perfect person to have this conversation with, right? This is going to be like kismet, because you're going to be able to really get into it with us and tell us what it's like to be an entrepreneur and whether or not Kwame Brown actually has a point when he's kind of suggesting and recommending that entrepreneurship might be the way to go. So here it is, you guys. If you're not familiar with what's been going on, I'll start with the viral tweet by StephenASmith. So not too long ago, StephenASmith, and I'm actually going to read it directly. He posted a viral tweet on his Twitter, and he started a whole storm of debate. So here's what he said. I wake up every morning with two thoughts. Number one, how do I make my bosses more money? And number two, how do I get some of it? There were many people who said, yes, I'm all for it. StephenASmith is right on track. You should be a benefit to your employer. And if you are a benefit to your employer, then your employer will reward you. However, Kwame Brown is arguing the opposite of that. He has made a point on his channel and in many of his lives to talk about trades no longer being in schools, to talk about the power of having a trade because it allows you a direct path to entrepreneurship. So he talks about the fact that when you go and get, let's say my degree, right? When you go out and get a JD, you could start your own law firm. That's true. But you would need some level of capital to start your own law firm, right? So more than likely, you're going to a law firm that is already established and you're asking them to employ you as an attorney. Now, on the flip side of that, let's say I was a carpenter. I would not need to go to anyone to ask them to hire me. And I really wouldn't need much capital to just start working with my skill. I could actually go door to door and knock on doors. Hey, how are you? My name is Phyliciadcpearson. I'm a carpenter. I do great work. Do you need some work done? So Kwame Brown's argument is that a path to financial freedom is better paved by skills and trade than it is by being a lifetime employee. So let me ask you, esteemed guest, Coach K, what do you think? Who has the answer? Is Kwame Brown right or is StephenASmith right?
I'll be honest with you. Kwame Brown is right. Stephen A. Smith is also a little bit right. Okay. Now let me break it down. Like for example, you know who Tom Brady is, right?
Right.
Okay. Tom Brady he got 6 Super Bowls for the Patriots, right? And he was a brand. And New England, the market was excellent. He was bringing in money and all types of things to that team. So sometimes, you're working for somebody. It does actually help you a little bit because you can learn some things while on the job. And starting a business is very hard. It's very difficult. It takes time for you to make money, but I do not disagree with both of them. But I would say this, when it comes to jobs, they usually make decisions that's best for the company. All right. Tom Brady got let go. Okay. Because they figured that, we're going to bring somebody else in. Tom Brady's old. With Stephen A. Smith, you want to make more money for your company, but you want to know how you can make some of that. But does he know that ESPN is owned by Disney, right? And Disney owns lots of companies: ABC, ESPN, Marvel, right? The Marvel movies.
Right.
Yeah.
Disney the entire Marvel series.
Exactly. They own A&E. They own History Channel. They own Lifetime. They own all these products and services. They own Disney Plus. They're streaming online. So they're making billions of dollars. And Stephen A. Smith is making $8 million a year. You know what I'm saying? So there'll be a time where they're going to let Stephen A. Smith go. So what are you going to do then? So there's nothing wrong with having a job. There's nothing wrong with it. I had a job, but here's the thing. When I had my job, I learned a lot. Especially when you get into management and you start to see the amount of money coming into the company, and you're like, whoa, look at all these funding and look how much I'm getting paid. So for example, I used to be an assistant director for a residential program. There was 2 assistant directors, and we had an assistant director that we reported to. So my program, I supervised 10 homes, and we had 3 clients in each home. Some of these clients, they had disabilities or whatever, right? So when I look at the funding, each client, at least their funding from the state, from the government was at least almost $500,000. $500,000 for one client. So one house alone can bring in an average of $2 million, $3 million a year for caring, for nursing, for transportation, all staffing, everything. The staff that worked for me, I had staff, I had a program coordinator, I had a program manager. So the staff was, I think their hourly pay was $12, $13. My program coordinator was $30,000, right? $32,000. My program managers were making about an average of $40 to $45, and I was making about $65 to $70,000. So when you get into management, you begin to see funding, and you saying to yourself, wow, this is the funding that comes into this company, and look how much they're paying me. So that has to motivate you to go out there and say, you know what? I was pocket watching, just like pocket watching with JT. I was pocket watching.
Just like
exactly. I was pocket watching. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go out there and start my own stuff. And start my own little side business to make money on the side for myself as well. So both of them they're not wrong. Okay. But it depends on your mentality. See, Stephen A. Smith wants to think about making money for his boss, for ESPN, and he wants to know how to make that type of money, right? So, but for me, I'm thinking, okay, how do I make money for myself, and how do I also help the company as well? But still, I have to go out there and make my own money for myself, because your job can let you go anytime. ESPN can end the contract. ESPN can say, you know what, Stephen A. Smith, sorry, sir, we decided to bring somebody else in. It can happen.
So, what I think is really interesting about what you said is that Stephen A. Smith is getting an $8 million paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not getting, like you were saying, some of your staff at, your previous position, 12 or 13 bucks an hour, or even 20 or 30 bucks an hour, right? He is getting an $8 million check. So here's the thing that I find to be very intriguing about that. When you are receiving that kind of money, you have, and I know this as an attorney who, has assisted and facilitated the formation of many companies, right? When you're working with $8 million, you have more than enough money for you to start something that would build your own legacy, right? For you to start your own company. And so I think what really struck people about Stephen A. Smith's tweet is that this man is making millions of dollars. He's not your typical hourly wage employee. So what he truly is saying is that he has a real level of loyalty to ESPN, to the point where he's not even bringing to fruition any of his own ideas, which, like I said, would be building his own legacy.
And you're right about that, because with Stephen A. Smith, he's not just thinking about ESPN. Stephen A. Smith has appeared on General Hospital, right? Which is the soap during the day. So have you seen him on General Hospital?
I don't watch soap operas, but that's good to know. I did not.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith was on General.
Yeah, and I think General Hospital is shown on ABC, and ABC is owned by Disney, which also owns ESPN. So he has also hosted the 92nd awards, Academy Awards, or something like that. So he's just spreading his skills all over Disney. He's just all over the place because that's just what he wants to do.
So I guess my follow-up question for you would be, as a businessman, which lane do you think solidifies your place of steady income no matter what? So as you said, numerous times, ESPN, via Disney, they could decide to let Stephen A. Smith go at any moment. So does Kwame Brown have a point when he says having skills and a trade, having your own business is more secure than working for someone else?
Yeah, it is. But a business is very hard. There are times where you might not make any money. I've gone months without making a dime, where I had to still pay people. When I started my business in 2017, I had two people working for me, marketing and training. And sometimes I might not make any money, but when we have our meetings or when they work for me, I still have to pay them. So that's the risk of a business. But with Stephen A. Smith working for ESPN, he makes millions. So that's a little bit different. So, so let's say we just break it down to maybe somebody that works at maybe like T-Mobile store or something like that, because Stephen A. Smith, $8 million, he can do a lot with that. Okay, so he's not gonna struggle.
Right, let's be real. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but with a business, depending on the type of business you're going into, there're gonna be some difficult times, and you might not make any money. Sometimes you might make some money one month, and the other month you might not make anything. So, I would say if I'm making that type of money with ESPN, I would choose I would choose the route Stephen A. Smith is going. Not that comic though, not that comic, but work with ESPN and start building my own on the side. You know what I mean? Start finding a way how to detach myself from ESPN just in the event when ESPN lets me go, because it's gonna happen. Right?
It's gonna happen. Happen in a moment.
Exactly. During COVID, they laid off almost 300 people from ESPN. So exactly. So you can make $8 million, $10 million at ESPN or Disney. They can still let you go and bring in new talent that they can pay for cheap. Stephen A. Smith is not going to be there for long. So wherever you are, if you work at a job or whatever, there's nothing wrong with a job. Start planning an exit strategy. How are you going to make money for yourself? Sometimes you have people online that will say, "Hey, I can show you how to start a business today. You can quit your 9 to 5." I don't think that's realistic. You know what I'm saying? That's not realistic. In the field that I work in, I've seen a lot of people who are unemployed and can't find work, and I can't tell them to go start a business. It's not realistic. You still need that. You still need your job to fund your business, your small side business for the meantime.
Precisely.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to have a plan. You have to have a goal in mind. You have to have a mission. You got to have that vision to grow that business, And while you're on the job, learn, network with some folks. When I was assistant director, I was networking with a lot of people. I was learning the job. I was learning everything, the funding, how to get funding, because I've seen, like I said, when you get to management status and you start to see a lot of money coming to the company, and you're like, I learned so much, Felicia. I learned so much when I was an assistant director. Here's the thing. I had a director on top of me, right? There was about 5 directors, like director of nursing, director of behavior, director of finance, director of residential, and the executive director. At the end of the year, if we can budget well, they all get a bonus. I don't get a bonus, but they want me to cut down on overtime.
Right.
So I am here working to cut down on overtime, but they get a bonus from, if they are able to cut down the money. So, you have
to take a quick second just to say hello to everybody in the chat.
Okay.
And then we'll bounce right back into some gems that you've been dropping. So, hey to Crime Spotter, hey to BK from the Rockies. Of course, hello to Pocket Watching with JT. If you're not subscribed to his channel,
please subscribe.
What are you doing with your life, right? That's me and Coach K's fave right there. Hello to KKC, another one of my peeps. Love him. You should also subscribe to KKC if you're not subscribed to him. Let's see who else is in the building. Hi to Michelle Jordan. Hi to Truth Strong Warrior. And thank you for the compliment, Truth Strong Warrior. Another YouTuber I want to mention, Diva Divine Light. She's doing some great work when it comes to standing up for victims of certain types of crimes. So you should check her out.
Okay.
And I think, am I missing anyone? And hello to Ingrid Fields. All right. So hello to everyone. And there's a couple comments that I wanted to highlight. So Crime Spotter was saying exactly what Coach K was saying, right? Crime Spotter says, use the day job, which is for sure money, to fund your side business / venture, right? That's a good plan. He also mentions Rachel Nichols, which, again, when Coach K was saying that ESPN could change their mind at any time, it's a good example of that, which is why maybe he should be using his $8 million to do something other than appear on General Hospital. I'm just putting it out there. Let's see who else made a comment that I want to highlight. Ingrid Fields made a good point. She said most people need operating capital, which see Coach K's original, suggestion, right? KKC says both Kwame and Stephen A. Smith have a good point. Some people love being workers and some love entrepreneurship. And he says, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So another good point. Entrepreneurship, it may not be for everyone, right?
It may not be for everyone.
And if you've been watching, if you've just joined in, we have an esteemed guest today, Coach K from K Business Podcast. We are discussing Kwame Brown v. Stephen A. Smith, but we're doing it empowered Esquire style, right? So life lessons, not muck and mire and craziness. Coach K is talking to us about, the path of entrepreneurship versus the path of being an employee. And thus far, he's dropped some gems, you guys. I put them in the chat. First gem, Coach K is saying, if you're working a full-time job right now, start planning an exit strategy. Start putting money to the side that you're using to fund your dream, right? Because your dreams matter. And really, when you're at work, are you really living your dream? Maybe you are. right? I am as an attorney, but that's a different niche. So if you're at a job where you feel like you're not living your dream, Coach K says start planning an exit strategy, right? His second tip was learn how to run a business from your employer. So when you're at work, instead of just clocking in and clocking out, right, and having the tunnel vision, what about learning about what's going on behind the curtain? What about getting some business insight that you could use, like we're always saying, to start your own, to build your own legacy, right? So Coach K, you said something that I wanted to ask you about. You spoke about having your own business as it being sort of something that is a bit more solid than employment, right? So Kwame Brown talks about how the pandemic changed the way that we view, employment and entrepreneurship and things like that. So my question for you is, a carpenter, right? A farmer, these types of trades and skills, which Kwame Brown is always talking about, they are essential, right? But let's be real. Certain types of professions that come along with these degrees, right? So let's be honest. Lawyer, not always essential, right? What else? Architect, not essential in the term, right? So does Kwame Brown have a point when he's saying perhaps we should shift our focus from some of these more kind of lucrative at the outset careers and look at skills that will always be essential no matter what's happening in society? Does Kwame Brown have a point there?
Yeah, he has a point. A plumber can, if he has that skill, he always have a job. I know a friend who's a plumber, and he works for himself, and he gets a call. It can be any time of the night, and he goes out there and forgot how much he makes. He can make between $300 to $700 depending on what the problem is. So so Kwame do have a point. Even people in HVAC, they make money, because you're still going to have issues with your air conditioning or whatever, and you need somebody to come there to service that. So he is right when it comes to those types of skills, but not everybody's going to go into those skills. Not everybody.
Right. And so that leads to my next question. Coach K, is entrepreneurship for everyone? Because Kwame Brown promotes entrepreneurship, and we don't disagree with that. I forgot to do the disclaimer. Let's take a moment to do the disclaimer. Neither Coach K nor I, Phyliciadcpearson, are saying that either StephenASmith or Kwame Brown is wrong, right? We're not knocking either of them. We're having a professional conversation in which we're just encouraging people to think about the larger narrative here, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so now back to my question. So Coach K, is entrepreneurship for everyone? I mean, does StephenASmith have a point? Are there some people who were truly just born to be an employee?
Yeah. There's a lot of folks who are just born to just work 25 years, 30 years, and they're done, retire, move to Florida or something, and just chill. Not everybody's going to be an entrepreneur, because, you see it all the time on social media where you have a lot of online gurus like, hey, you want to be an entrepreneur, everybody should be an entrepreneur. Not really. Once you get into that world of entrepreneurship, it's a different ballgame. It's nonstop action. It's 24/7. Just this weekend alone, I was just, creating ads for my business and responding to emails, revising some of my training tools, just doing many things on the weekend. So sometimes you have to work a weekend. I have a friend who has a business. Sometimes he might lose three employees in a day. So he has to work, and he's open 7 days a week. So, when you go into entrepreneurship, it's nonstop. It's, depending on what type of business you're going to or entrepreneurship you're going to, it's nonstop. You have to keep working because you have to keep making that money. So everybody's not made to become an entrepreneur.
So how do you know whether entrepreneurship is for you? How do you know? What traits might you have that, says that you have it in you? You've got
Well, it depends on the type of people you have around you. Like my mom is an entrepreneur. She started selling clothing from the trunk of a car at church. She'll go to New York, buy some stuff, sell it. Then from there, she starts selling stuff in the basement. And from there, she purchased a commercial building and starts selling African clothing from that building. Then on top of the commercial building, she had an apartment and she had tenants living there. So that she had an entrepreneurship mindset. So you have to surround yourself with people who think positively, who have positive mindsets, who are go-getters. If you hang around with 9 broke people, trust me, you're going to be the 10th broke person. So you have to hang around with people that will motivate you. So like for me, I started my own training and consulting company, pretty small. I have a friend of mine who has more money than me, you know what I'm saying? And he's seen what I was doing and he was like, wow, I like what you're doing. You're traveling, you're doing certain things. He started his own business. I actually have the video on my YouTube. He started his own indoor playground, left his 6-figure job,
Wow.
start his own indoor playground. And he tells me all the time that I seen you do it. And I was like, I have the capital, I can do it. So he got an SBA loan, was able to get funding, was able to get I think he got some permits from the county. He had to, get those zoning. He had to go to those zoning meetings and they had to approve for him to have the playground in that location. And he's having this entrepreneurship mindset. So he changed his mind from working for somebody to actually having his own business. So it depends on, who you have surrounding you, who you talk to, what you listen to. If you spend all day on YouTube listening to stupid stuff, you will never grow. You know what I'm saying? If you wake up in the morning and you listen to a whole bunch of nonsense, you will never grow. But if you wake up in the morning, if you do your prayer, fine. If you don't, but you listen to what's going on in the stock market, you listen to real estate. I listen to JT, I listen to Orlando, I listen to lots of positive YouTube content creators that I can learn from, that I can grow. So it depends on what you're listening to. You have to find things to motivate you to change your mindset. It's all about your mindset.
So I wanted to have a quick teaching moment about some of the, as I said, gems that Coach K is dropping. So he's talking about the fact that not everyone is going to be able to be an entrepreneur, right? And I think that's the reality of it. And that's something that we do need to have an honest conversation about, because right now we have a big growth spurt of new businesses and entrepreneurs, but truthfully, it isn't necessarily for everyone, right? And that's, but I will tell you something from the legal perspective. As a legal professional who's been behind the curtain with a lot of these corporations and companies, there is a bit of a unspoken rule, right, about the worth of an employee versus how much you pay that employee. I will tell you that usually a company is only going to pay an employee at the most, 1/3 of what they make off of that employee's work. So, one more time, at the most, an employer will only pay an employee 1/3 of what they make off of that employee's work. So when you think about that from the StephenASmith perspective, right? Okay, $8 million, quite a bit of money, right? But Coach told us that Disney owns ESPN. So how much money do you think Disney makes off of StephenASmith's contribution to ESPN, his intellectual property, which, by the way, as an employee, you do not own your intellectual property that you create while you're at work. Usually an employment agreement will say that whatever you create for us is ours. So if ESPN is giving StephenASmith $8 million, how much do you think Disney is making per year from his ideas, his work, his intellectual property? So now let me ask you, Coach K, is that exploitation? Are employees being exploited by employers?
I don't know how to answer that question because
water while you answer.
Because I've hired people myself and I know how much I make on a contract and I know how much I pay folks. But I'll use StephenASmith as an example. ESPN last year made $16 billion, $16.9 billion. ESPN, that's how much they made. I think with ESPN, Hulu, and Disney all together, I think it was Disney. Is it Disney? No, I think ESPN, they made about 16 billion. Do they take advantage or do they exploit their employees? I don't know. You have to fight for yourself. I'll just say it like that. If you have a job that you like and they make you an offer and you don't like it, counter the offer. And if they're not going to give it to you, then find somewhere else that you can work. You know, right? If ESPN let StephenASmith go, there's other companies out there that might reach out to him, like Fox or CBS or whatever. But you know your value. Fight for yourself because companies will take advantage of you. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to cut spending. And I'm thinking, I'm having my management hat on because that's what I had to do. I had to cut down overtime. I had to cut down spending. Sometimes if somebody calls out, I have to have my program manager whose salary, have him work that shift. He might cuss me out and get angry like, no, that's not fair, but I have to cut down overtime. That's the instructions coming from the executive director and my director. So, because everybody have a boss to answer to. So you have to cut down spending or you lose your job. Or we make some cuts. It's happened. Companies will spend, they'll give people raises and bonuses, and they don't have enough money the following fiscal year. So they have to let some people go. So companies have a lot of decisions to make. There was a time I had to let one of my trainers go because I couldn't pay him. I was in the slow season. No money is coming in, so I had to let him go. So those type of things happen. So do they take advantage of people? Some do.
So another interesting thing that I've noticed as I'm coming across, bits and pieces of content in this versus, as we'll call it Brown v. Smith, right? Mm-hmm. I've seen that Kwame speaks a lot about the fact that when you are getting a paycheck from a certain corporation, mm-hmm. you're kind of bound to protect the public image of that corporation. And it may lead you to even do or say things that, perhaps you wouldn't normally want to do or say were you not relying on a paycheck from that company or that corporation or whatsoever. So do you think that applies to just the average employee? Do you think that, your average Walmart employee is in fear of really speaking their mind about Walmart because they don't want to lose their job? Or is that something that really starts to apply to these more elite statuses when you're talking about athletes and actors and actresses and things like that?
Yeah, for those folks, like for example, Paul Pierce, he did a Instagram live or something, and he had some strippers in the background, and he was he was let go because of that. So sometimes you have to when you work for a company, your outside activities as a reflection of the company. They don't want any bad, press. But somebody that's working at Walmart, that doesn't really matter. People can quit those jobs anytime. Especially if you, let's say you're in management, like I was, I have to, be careful what I say on social media or be careful what I say when I'm in the community with my staff. Because it can still go back to the office. That's why I always tell folks, if you have a certain job and you speak freely, don't add people you work with on your Facebook or your social media. Protect yourself. It depends. It just depends on the type of job that you have. A FBI agent can't go on social media and say certain things. It depends on what type of job, it just depends.
So let's say, Coach K, that you are in the position where your employer is asking you to say or do something, a la Kwame Brown's accusation that StephenASmith was being sent to places to say and do things negatively about certain people, right? He talks about StephenASmith going to, I believe he said high schools.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So let's say you're in a StephenASmith situation, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
and your employer is asking you to do or say something that you don't want to do, what do, Coach K?
You have to do it. And the reason why I'm saying that is because when I was an assistant director, I had to fire people. I had to make people do things they don't want to do. Tough decisions. But with Stephen A. Smith, that's what he gets paid for, and he loves what he does. So, ESPN wanted him to do it, and he had no other choice. He could have said, you know what? No, I'm not doing that. He had options to say, no, I'm not, but he's under contract. So, and there are probably incentives and bonuses that go along with that. Sometimes they pay for your travel, they pay for your accommodation. So there's a lot of benefits that go with that. So maybe he did see a lot of incentives for him to go out there and say those things. But it's up to the individual. We all have choices to make. I could have told my director, no, I'm not doing it. I'll lose my job. So I had no other choice but to make decisions. There was this particular gentleman I didn't want to fire, but they wanted me to fire him. I said, let's just suspend him for 2-3 days. They said, no, you have to terminate him. So I had no other choice.
So Coach K brings up a very good point when he talks about Stephen A. Smith being under contract and the potential that, possibly, allegedly, he may very well be doing things that he doesn't necessarily want to do per se, right? And Kwame Brown has said this. He may be saying words and doing things that are actually being handed to him by ESPN per his contract. So, teaching moment. There are different types of employment. And two of those, many different types are at will employment, right? And then there's contractual employment. When you are an at will employee, it means that you are hired at will, you are fired at will, right? Which means that you can walk away whenever you'd like, and the employer can terminate you whenever they'd like. But when you're under contract, like someone such as Stephen A. Smith is, right? And you have a lot of different parameters. And yes, he may very well have in his contract that he is required to go to these schools. They may even send him a script, and he may be required per his contract to say whatever is on the script, or not just forfeit his position, you guys. He may even forfeit a portion of whatever compensation he receives, because that's written into the contract as well. So it's important to know that there's a difference between being your typical at-will employee and being this type of employee where you're under a contract, right?
Like, for example, the players like NFL, NBA, after a game, they're supposed to speak to the media. It's part of the contract. They're supposed to, and if they don't speak to the media, they get a fine. You know that, right?
Ding, ding.
So you have to speak to the media. So at the end of the day, some jobs are not comfortable. You have to be uncomfortable at a job for you to go out there and say, you know what, I'm ready to start my own thing. Because some jobs make people so uncomfortable. I had a supervisor that made me so uncomfortable. I said, you know what, I need to start my own stuff. I need to start my own business. So at the end of the day, if you work for somebody, you have to do what they tell you to do. There's no other options.
So we are right at 44 minutes in, and I want to make sure we have time to do a little Q&A sesh with our guest here. So before we dive into maybe, some more talk about entrepreneurship, we're going to take a quick little moment here to allow for any questions at all for Coach K. Remember, you can ask questions about Kwame Brown v. Stephen A. Smith, right? Or you can ask a general business question. You can ask Coach K about entrepreneurship or anything in between, but I do caution you to make sure, what you guys always do anyway, but make sure that your questions are professional and respectful, right? So I'll give you guys a moment to go ahead and drop any questions that you have in the chat. I'll do my fake Jeopardy music. I'm going to get like a little video or something we could play. Question. But if there isn't a question, we'll dive right into how to start your own business.
Yeah.
One more water break. You know, we always have to have an appearance from my ridiculously large NutriBullet cup that isn't.
Is there any water in there?
Yeah, I have blueberry. I had grapefruit in here as well.
Oh, okay.
I'm almost done. I drink a lot of water. Okay, well, I don't see any questions, so let's dive right in. So, Coach K, let's say that I am a part of the school of Kwame Brown, right? So I have my skills and I have my business idea and I'm ready. What is the first thing that I should do?
When you have an idea, any type of business idea, do your research. That's the first thing you must do. Sometimes we see on social media, we see a lot of folks, a lot of online gurus talking about, oh, this business, this type of business, sign up, I can show you, I'll sell you this course. Do your own research. Research the type of business that you're going into. Are you able to make money from this business? Also do the research on your competitors. Who else is doing this type of business in my area, in the region, in the country, in the world? You know, because sometimes if you want to start a business, you want to know how you can sell in your local market, state market, your country, and international. You know, so do your research. That's the first thing that you must do. Second, funding. You can't do business without any type of funding. If you need information on funding, I always refer people to go to SBA.gov. I just did a stream about it before I came to your stream. Go to SBA.gov and see the various types of funding options. You can self-fund your business. You can do an investor, but just know that if you get an angel investor, you are going to be giving up shares of your company. Or you can do a loan. I don't recommend doing a loan when you're just starting a business because you're not sure what this business is, how this business will make money at this time. You're not sure if it's going to be profitable. So self-funding the business is good. And there are many ways to self-fund the business. If you have some savings, you can do some of these side gigs, Uber, Lyft. I did Uber for almost 6 months, just saving. I was able to use that money to register my business, to buy equipment for my business, and do many things for my business. So there's many ways to raise money for your business. Like crowdfunding is also a good option. So once you have the funding, don't forget to get your registration. Register your business in your state. What I have here is my own registration. They send me this after I register the business online. I get it, the state will send me like some type of certificate. Once you do that, you get your EIN number. And those two documents is what you would take to the bank to open a bank account. Sometimes you don't even need to take it to them because they can find it online themselves. So once you get your banking, your checking, your savings, the next phase is marketing. Market your business and start selling. So there's various types of steps, and it depends on the type of business you're going into. If you're going into a home-based business, it's different. If you have a commercial, like if you're renting a commercial building, that's a different process because you're looking at permits, you're looking at license, you're looking at zoning. Because if you want to set up a business in an area and people in the community don't want you there, so you have to go to this.
That's right. You're getting area. Yes,
exactly.
There are zoning laws. You can't
exactly
any and everywhere. It has to be zoned as a commercial area. Or Coach K is saying you have to have a meeting where you get permission from property owners in the area to operate a commercial business in their residential neighborhood.
Like a few miles from here, there's a person that wants to start a outpatient clinic for people to get their it's a drug clinic, and people are protesting. And they went in front of the council, and they denied any type of They denied the company to actually start the business there.
I would imagine so. I would imagine that was pretty controversial. So we actually have some questions I'm gonna run by you. So the first question was, and I have a little epithet on this too. Should Kwame and Stephen get on a show together? Be interesting. However, I don't think that would ever happen.
That would never happen, but I think they should. There's nothing wrong with working with one another. You know, have your own podcast or something. You don't even need ESPN. You can do it on YouTube. Like the tools that we have in 2021, there's no excuse. You know, yeah, they should actually work together. There's no reason. They should.
And there was another comment that I thought was interesting. So Kwame Brown has mentioned before that he owns land, and I'm not sure what he does on his land, right? But let's say, just for example, as a hypothetical, let's say that on his land he farms, he grows corn, right? So he owns the land and he grows corn, and that does give him a level of control when it comes to the corn market in his area, right? So the question from the commenter was ownership versus control, right? So let's talk about the level of control that a farmer might have if they're creating the corn market in their area versus the level of control that someone might have, let's say for StephenASmith. Let's say whenever he renegotiates his contract, he says to Disney, right, I don't necessarily want 8 million in cash. I want 6 million in cash and 2 million in equity. So which of those options do you think really gives you a level of financial freedom, right? Because on one end, you do have some level of ownership, right? You own your land and then you're kind of controlling the corn market. But then on the other hand, you as an employee are gaining equity in this company that is already established and perhaps will be into perpetuity because Disney has been around for hundreds of years. So which in your opinion is better, outright ownership or
ownership of land? I mean, you can sell the land goes up in value. You know, with ESPN can go bankrupt. They can file for bankruptcy.
Good point. Good point.
And they have ways of not paying people out. So, I mean, that happens. But ownership of land, there's nothing wrong with land. You purchase the land, you do whatever on the land. You can sell the land if you don't want it anymore. It's land ownership. There's nothing like ownership. So I'll say land ownership is probably better for me.
So there you have it. Coach K says it's always better to own outright, even better than having some level of, equity in an existing company. Let's check our comments here and see what else. So KKC says exactly at Coach K, I use the IRS website to start my LLC.
Absolutely. You don't have to pay these online gurus $1,000, $2,000 for a course. Or I seen a video today where the lady was showing how to finesse the bank to get money. And I'm like, finesse? Like, oh my gosh. I don't know what, I was like, what does that, I know what finesse is. I'm like, what does that mean, finessing the bank? Like, don't you guys watch Pocket Watching with JT?
Somewhere there is a government employee who is in some level of investigation, some level of prosecution, who is just salivating watching these videos. You really made a video on how to finesse. Now, maybe she's not showing something that is illegal, but that wording is just not safe.
That's a terrible word.
It's just not at all safe to have that kind of wording, Not
on your YouTube, because if somebody watches that video and actually does it and they ask him, he can say, I watched that video on YouTube. It was information that I got from YouTube. So like I refer people to SBA.gov. Even if you don't want to go to SBA.gov, go to your state website. Fine, you don't want to go to your state website. Go to the local colleges. They have business centers to teach you how to start your business from scratch for free. If you don't want to pay for service or you don't want to watch YouTube, they got all types of free services out there for you. Just like what my brother said over there, he used the IRS website. That's another great tool. The information is out there. You know, information is out there for us to read. We just have to read. That's it. Read. You know.
Yeah, I agree with Coach K 300%. You know, my viewers know that I'm always showing them. I'm always showing them how to get information, where to get information. I'm very big on leading someone to the water, right?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to just bringing them a glass of water.
Absolutely.
So Coach K talks about SBA.gov. You guys know I always show you the DOJ websites and how to find the law. And, you know, he is telling you exactly what we're always saying on this channel. Be empowered. Seek information. Because no matter what, whenever you are getting information from another source, a secondary source, things can get misconstrued, right?
Absolutely.
When you seek that information yourself, you're going to get exactly what you should get.
Absolutely. Like, for example, folks that were getting into this Tulsa fund, they were putting money in there, expecting money to come back. And, you know, I saw the little video that he did. I was like, wow, this was like a good investment. And I did my research, and I said, nope, I can use that $500 to register my business and move on. You know what I'm saying? But folks out here don't read. They don't do their research. They just see something nice and something that would, that will attract you to give your money. You just have to be very careful out here. You just have to be careful. People get scammed. You know. So
we have a few minutes left, and with the few minutes that we have left, I'd like you to tell everyone in the chat what, if anything at all, you think they should take away from the Kwame Brown and Stephen A. Smith debate. Because like I said, you know, we like to focus on lessons. So what
absolutely.
do you think we should take away the...
Sorry, I think I froze. Am I back?
That's fine. We're having these torrential storms in my area.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I think it's causing us a little bit of, you know, but we're good. I think we're back on.
Okay.
Now, right? We should be
back on. Okay. What I would say is Stephen A. Smith. For Stephen A. Smith, is good. It's good for he has a good job. Okay, he works for a big company, ESPN. But comments like, "Oh, I when I wake up in the morning, I want to make more money for my boss, and I want to know how I can get some of that money." I would not. That's not my mentality. Okay. But for Kwame Brown, he's free. He has his own land. He can talk. He has the freedom to say anything. Stephen A. Smith don't have the freedom to just say anything. He has to say what they pay him to say. Well, Kwame Brown has that freedom. Okay, he has his own channel, and he can grow from there. Stephen A. Smith still have to answer to somebody. So that's the difference between Kwame Brown and Stephen A. Smith. One is free, and one still has to report to somebody. You know, so Stephen A. Smith have to be very careful what he says outside. Well, Kwame Brown doesn't really care. He has freedom of speech. No one's gonna counsel him. He doesn't work for anybody. So that's the difference between the both of them.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh no, go ahead, Coach K.
If that makes any sense.
That makes sense. I think you're laying out both paths for everyone. Mm-hmm. Give a quick shout out to someone who just joined the chat. Hey, Rev Brent Sharpton, aka Fat Boy, aka Fubu Ministries. That name is something else. I love how creative everyone is with our different.
Let me tell you this. This guy that just came in, what's his name? Rev Sharpton.
Rev Brent, yeah.
If he starts a YouTube channel and selling courses, he will probably make a lot of money.
Well, he should. Listen, that right now. And you have this idea in your mind to start a YouTube channel. Do it. Do it, you guys. That's Coach K is big on that. You have these ideas. You have to capitalize on them. One of my earliest videos is called 3 Reasons to Trademark Your Business Now. Mm-hmm. Trademark is one method, right, of protecting your ideas. But another way to protect your idea is to actually get it out of your head and do it. Like Coach K says, before someone else does, right? So
I'll tell you something else, right? There was a guy, a friend of mine know, right? He was at work, and I think there's about 4 teams of they work in like a software developer company, and the supervisor was asking for their ideas to make the company better because management want to hear their feedback. So everybody was giving their ideas to the company, giving the ideas. Oh, I think we should do this. I think we should do that. We can change this. We can change that. So the supervisor is taking down notes. So the supervisor and other supervisors met with upper management. They met with upper management. All the ideas from everybody at the lower level, they presented it to upper management. Upper management is like, wow, those are some great ideas. Let's pick this one. That idea, one of the guys presented, that was the idea that made the company more money, right? He was let go a few months later. Yeah, because what they did was they brought in consultants and project managers to work on this idea. Absolutely.
Wow. Look at that. Look at that.
So they made some cuts. They hired some project managers and consultants and all these people from the outside to work on this idea to make the company better. And he was part of the ones they let go.
So beware, if you're taking the StephenASmith route, beware, because you could come in with these great ideas as to how to make your boss more money, and then you could be let go. Right?
Like when I was a case manager and I'm at staff meetings and they're talking, oh, we need your feedback, we need your ideas, and everyone's like, I think we should do this. I think we should do it this way. Sometimes when you see a problem at your job and you have a solution, keep it to yourself. Because that solution could be yours. You can make money from it. I'm serious, you know.
Very good point.
Yeah.
I mean, but hey, you guys, we're right at an hour, so we're gonna get out of here. Listen, today we have had the luxury of having our first of many guests, Coach K from K Business Podcast, and we discussed Kwame Brown and the path of ownership versus StephenASmith and the path of employment and being a beneficial employee. And we got some good insight from Coach K. So what did we learn today? We learned a number of things. First, we learned that if you have an idea, you should go for it. You do not need a tremendous amount of capital. You can really just start by looking at free resources. We also learned that if you do want to continue to be an employee, you can still work on your dreams in your free time. You can have a 9 to 5 and a 5 to 9, right? So at the end of the day, you can find the path that works best for you.
Absolutely.
Okay, do you have any closing words for us?
Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it very much. You have a great channel, and please, you guys subscribe. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and also subscribe to Pocket Watching with JT. Please, if you haven't subscribed to him, go there now and subscribe. He's giving some good games, some good information for you to learn out there. But everybody stay safe out there, be yourself, and work hard.
Absolutely. And that is it for us today, folks. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Empowered Esquire TV. See you later.
Peace.